en todas las banderas para celebrar la vida. De la mano del 10, de la mano del 10. Se paralizó el planeta, grita América Latina. De la mano del 10, de la mano del 10. Porque aquí somos iguales, no importa tu condición. De la mano del 10. La emoción en un grito de gol. Todo el mundo en una sola voz. Te digo. De la mano. Venimos del sur, norte, oriente, occidente. Vamos para Rusia, que allá está mi gente. No importa tu raza, tu credo, tu bandera. Existen mil colores y una sola tierra. Desde Asia hasta Oceanía. Todos viven en alegría. Europeos, africanos y latinoamericanos. No importa dónde venga porque somos hermanos. Cola, cola, ya lo leía callar. De la mano del 10. Cola, cola, saga de Rusia. De la mano del 10.
Amigos de Telesur, bienvenidos.
Friends of
De la mano del
teleSUR,
10,
welcome
aunque el
to
10
De la
no
Mano
está
del
esta noche,
Diez.
mañana lo vamos a tener
Although
para
El Diez is not here
comentario
with
de
us
todo lo
today.
que va a ocurrir en el primer partido
We're going to
semifinal
talk a little bit
de este
about
campeonato del
what
mundo.
everything that's going to happen
Vamos a
tomorrow
aprovechar
in the
para
first
tenerlo
semifinal
con
match of the
nosotros
World
hoy.
Cup.
Todos los días se producen hechos que tienen que ver
Every
con las
day,
ocurrencias de
something
Diego,
happens, something
con cosas formales y serias
out of the
que
ordinary
dice,
happens,
con momentos divertidos,
with fun
que nosotros
moments,
queremos compartir con ustedes
and we
porque
want to
normalmente
share
no van dentro del programa. Es
that
estar
these moments
cerca
that
de
don't
Diego, de
aren't
aquello
part of
que
the show
con
sometimes when
experiencia
Diego's around.
cada día no lo volcamos porque siempre hay cosas
Yeah,
que
sometimes
parecen
we
más
don't look for
importantes,
this
más
every day
urgentes. Pero hoy nos
because
vamos a tomar esa
we have
licencia,
more
esos
urgent
minutos
stuff to
que
talk
permiten
about.
acercarse a Diego cuando no está frente a cámara,
And
cuando
this
no
kind
acaba de
of
perfeccionarse.
program is going to help
Cosa que
us
siempre
get
me llama la
closer to
atención,
Diego
porque
when he's not
seguramente,
here.
Nadie imagina una persona tan segura de sí misma, una persona que está
Someone
segura
who's
del bien y del
so
mal, a esta altura del
sure of
partido.
himself
Es tan responsable
is
cuando
so
va a afrontar
responsible
su contacto con el público que se persigna
when-
para desearse suerte, para
when
que
he
todo
goes
salga
over
bien,
to-
no en una
to,
final de un campeonato del mundo, en un simple programa de
to the
televisión
people.
que es su programa. Bueno, esas
But
cosas
it's his show.
no aparecen normalmente.
Normally,
Y
these
nosotros
things
queremos
don't
ya mismo
show up every day.
compartirlas con ustedes.
So we want to share them with you.
Todo con mis palabras, todo como yo le dije.
Listen, everything with my own words, everything as I said, with every single comma, every single space, everything with my own words. That's it. We do it this way. A book that can be heard, yes, a book like that. You will sit down and read it. You will be speaking about your own book. Rocío was sent something stating Maradona is to blame.
La culpa de todo la tiene Maradona.
Everybody. The whole fault is Maradona's. Maradona has the fault.
So I was in my hotel watching the game, and they tell me Maradona is to blame, and I was like, what? Why? Go Cuauhtémoc, go López Obrador, and we continue gaining ground. It's beautiful, it's beautiful. And there's a commercial. They see the ass of a girl, and the girl next to him asks for the VAR. It's like that, it's like that. And they get a yellow card because it was true. He was watching. It's great. It's a great one. Out of the commercials, it's the best one that I've seen. Then Messi's voice kills me when he speaks. When he speaks in Russian. Rah, rah, rah.
Diego was doing really well in front of the camera yesterday. He was doing well. If Diego just leaves and he's talking, I don't understand why they took out Cuadrado.
Sub another one out. Maybe a winger. Or a wingback and allow Cuadrado to run the whole of the field. Put whoever you want, but take someone else out. France, they're doing very well. They have a very good team. Every single game, they're very solid.
They're good. They're doing well physically. They have good players.
And Mbappé and Griezmann, who has learned to play with Simeone outside of the area, outside of the box, in order to come later and the score, because he plays out of the box. He passes and passes and passes. And whenever he's allowed, then he scores.
They have the most quantity of good players.
Yes, exactly. We're not going to have something like that. Nothing like that. Yes, that is right.
So a guy tells you, he asks you, are you gonna beat Iceland 1-0? Don't. Remember, we're 60 years old. It's good to be able to accompany Diego in these kind of manifestations he does. We're privileged because we're close to him. He's exceptional, the best player in the world, in history. But there's also Diego, who is a bit effusive and problematic. And he's had trouble with referees in some World Cups. And after the break, we're going to talk about this.
Geiger.
El destripador. A mí me extraña mucho.
The killer Geiger.
La tecnología que hay hoy.
This is really strange with all the technology we have today that Colina just didn't Google this referee and see everything he's done before in order to be the referee in such an important game. And if we want to have a more transparent football, listen, I scored with a handball and it should have been allowed. The English also won with a goal that should have not been allowed. And the same thing with the Germans in '86. But I really don't know. We must move on.
Seguimos en teleSUR.
We continue with on teleSUR, de la mano del Diez. We've talked about his general opinion about the referees, but that has been doing all right. There's a couple mistakes and discussions, but I don't really recall any mistakes by the linesmen. Maybe one. The first goal by the Koreans was really important. The linesman did put up his flag, but they decided to look at it through the VAR, and there wasn't an offside. And it was a very, very specific play, so yes. And the balance of the referees have been great, and a couple of the instances the referees have made some mistakes, and Diego has talked about the game between England and Colombia. There's, especially on the penalty play, there's a lot of what you have to see is what's going on beforehand, before Kane falls in the box. But yeah, there was a little bit of problems, but it's been solved. It's very interesting to remember 12 years ago, in the final between Italy and France, Horacio Elizondo was the referee, Argentinian. He's very renowned. But to send out Zidane, but it wasn't something that you would expect in this kind of game. And this would help Italy a lot to become world champions of 2006. And we'll see about this episode from Elizondo himself.
The final game of Germany 2006 was just as remembered as the world champion of Italy between Marco Materazzi and Zinedine Zidane, an event that no one knew about but had a main witness, manager and referee Horacio Elizondo. So Zidane's play, I decided on the blind because I didn't see a single thing happening. I was taking a look at the game in a different part of the field, in the opposite side of the field, and then I saw a blue player who was down on the floor, and I didn't know absolutely anything about what had happened. But I decided to stop because he wasn't standing up, but I knew something was going on. So I started running from one side to the other, and I asked Dario Garcia, who was the fourth referee, if he knew something about this event because he was down. And he said, no, I don't know a single thing. I asked the other linesman, and then I already had some alarms raised because I saw him on the floor. He was almost passed out, and I said, come on, they didn't see a thing. And this lad is not standing up. And then Luis Medina Cantalejo, who was the sub-referee, Spanish ref, and he said, Zidane was the one who butt-headed Materazzi. I think it was the number 19. It was a terrible headbutt. And then I said, Luis, okay, tell me, how did it happen? Was it one against the other? So please somehow show me what happened. And he gave me a phrase that was extremely clear for me. He said, come on, when you see it on the video of the hotel, you'll not be able to believe it. So with this word, I decided to send him off. So I already knew that I was going to send Zidane off, so the decision was already made. But how could you manage it for you to understand inside within the framework in the best possible way? So then I decided to ask Dario, because the strategy was to look for a tool of communication that is to become understood. Everyone knows that if the assistant calls you and tells you about something, it's because they saw something and you're going to make a decision over it. So I ran towards Dario, and I told him, there are 10 minutes left. It was the only thing I thought. Then I turned around, I saw Zidane, and I sent him off. I think it was very, very important to do so right there. It was very important for the pitch and for the players, as well as for the watchers, because something had happened. So I proceeded to send Zidane off, and I remember that he was sent off, and I got my card to write his number down. He touched my shoulder, I turned around, and I told him, like somehow asking what's happening. I said, okay, it's all right, it's all right. I want to ask you a question. And he said, first of all, you're right to send me off, but does any one of you know what happened before? And I said, no. What happened? I asked him. And he just turned around and left. Undoubtedly, mentioning that something had happened, that something was said to him, that something upset him. After that, according to the things heard, apparently, when Zidane turned around and showed him his shirt, because he was showing him shirt, because he was trying to pull it, and he said, like, do you want it? And he said something against his sister. And I was trying to understand what was said in the video, and Materazzi opened his mouth and said something. And after that, Zidane continued walking, but he took another step and wasn't able to hold himself. He attempted to control this, to keep this behind, so he took an extra step. But the second step, it was too much. He turned around, and then you know what happened.
One
of the highlights that we've seen in this program, it impacts you. 12 years after this episode, we're still thinking about it. But going over to the linesman to ask him about this, to give him some kind of reason to do this, but no. It was his way to try to show the whole stadium that he's trying to make a decision that was right at the time. And the assistants have to take notes and have to inform the referee about this kind of deal. And and Elizondo telling us about what happened, what they talked about there, it's just fabulous. Now, the referee world is just very interesting. We could talk about this with Diego. This type of send-outs, when the referee has to make this decision, they don't take out injustice from it. How many things have to happen for this to occur? Like, first, Materazzi has to say something racist or some kind of insult to Zidane. And then because Zidane is Argentinian, he's going to get very upset. So it's even a political issue. They have really said some bad words to each other and have offended each other. You have to forgive Zidane because whatever he heard, he had to react that way. What you ask yourself, how many of these situations happen during a game that the referee doesn't know about, which doesn't give that kind of like justice in football. I'll leave you thinking about this topic, and we have to do a little pause right now so that we can think about this, and we're going to talk about the semifinals tomorrow, because we are definitely going to talk about the semifinals with Diego, because we're here de la Mano del Diez.
Bien, amigos.
Well, friends,
En teleSUR a la parte final de
we're
programa de hoy.
coming to the end of the program in teleSUR.
Pero no había fútbol y entonces
There was no football, so we wanted to take advantage of this kind of material that if Diego was here, we would not have been able to watch this. Because what is really important is to hear Diego. We're gonna present something really important, one of the biggest heroes of World Cup, and one of Diego's favorite, Johan Cruyff.
After World War II, Johan Cruyff was born. They lived near Ajax Stadium in Amsterdam, and he was born helping with the club by shining the footwear until becoming the best player of the Netherlands. He led Ajax to be 3-time champions of Europe, but the quality of his game was not measurable. He was the synthesis of total football, according to Randos Michel, who was the manager, and then they became the Clockwork Orange. His style was incredible and rebel. When the numbers of the shirt were up to 11, he always wanted to wear number 14. And in the vice champion of 1974 by Adidas, he decided not to wear the 3 stripes because he was sponsored by Puma, so he had a special shirt. Real Madrid wanted to get him, but he decided for Barcelona and he was loved. He continued with his type of playing as a manager. He created the dream team of Barcelona at the beginning of the 90s, and in 1992, he led the Catalonian team to their first European Championship without knowing he had his best idol, Pep Guardiola. In 1974, he wasn't able to become a world champion, but the defeat against Germany would not allow him to be part of the best of football. He left in 2016, and ever since he's been a legend.
Cruyff.
Lo
decimos de tantas maneras.
We call him different ways. Wasn't able to play in 1978 because he did not agree with what was happening in Argentina at the time. It's incredible what Kroll told his family about how wonderful Argentina was under the dictatorship. So they took conscience on this. Han and Bran went back to Argentina to talk, to see what was going on after 1978. And with Diego, we wanted to present this, but we couldn't put it on air. So let's take a look at this right now. So you can see what we said back in April. So the Dutch players in that final. Did it go hand in hand with what Cruyff had told you?
In this time, we knew about the dictator. We knew something about people who were
That's a goal from the middle of the pitch.
This game we knew, but not really. It was still a little bit rumor. Is it or is it not?
Before we went, when we flew from Amsterdam, there were some people who were making a propaganda for for Argentina.
Who were really working, don't go. And they try everything to do that the Dutch national team did not go to Argentina because of all the problems and the rumors, for us still rumors, who were there. And at the end, just what I said, because our politics, especially our ambassador here in Buenos Aires, said, no, it's fine, it's nothing.
But I was at that time 21 years, so the first thing I was thinking was to play a World Cup. For instance, in Mendoza, we were shopping, everybody got two militaries for protection.
When you see now, today, after 40 years, that I'm here back, and I was in the ESMA, and we were on the plaza, what you hear, what you saw, then it's becoming a totally different dimension.
And we, of course, we have the Queen in Holland. You know, she's from Argentina. And then there come some stories, and you know, the father of our Queen, he should know everything, but you know, everybody is writing some things about that. So, but when you get older and older, yeah, you read books, and you know, you see some pictures, you see a lot of things.
And I can still feel after this year that even a lot, I don't know everybody, but a lot of Argentinians have still a trauma from it. It's still, you feel the pain is still there.
Qué testimonio.
What a testimony.
Beautiful, beautiful. Because they're saying the things that they really knew. They weren't coming here to play the World Cup. Well, they were here only for that. They didn't want to know who shot the first bullet, or if they were going to be kidnapped, or whatever is going to happen to them. And I think that there were a lot of whispers, and some of us knew some things, but we really couldn't do anything about it. Nothing about it.
You're angry with the production team because
Excellent, excellent, very well done.
they played well, huh?
We're
about to leave with some greetings to all these people from Cali and Mexico, channel 44 from Guadalajara. And to leave, let's do something with Diego, a little trip with Diego, singing, and his day-by-day life. With all this production team, so lovely, and who love Diego as well, and also very liked by me. This is the last week of the World Cup, and till the last day, we will be telling you and our greeting from teleSUR de la Mano del Diez.
Siento muy bien.
Una serenata en vivo a Rocío en la camioneta.
You sent her a serenade. No, I didn't. I didn't. And I'm happy because she's here. And also because she was a baller like myself. She likes football. She likes to feel the passion of a fan and everything you can feel in a World Cup. But she wasn't born when Argentina qualified for the last games, and all the people around her, people next to her, my sisters, of course, they tell me things. Of what he's done.
Always from De La Mano del Diez. Everywhere.
What do you think of the show?
I watch it every day. He calls me, he tells me what they did, and then I watch him at night. I love it. I watch it with my mom, with Lucian.
A kiss for everyone watching De La Mano del Diez.
de la mano del 10.